Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is Sprinklebeard, and today, goodbye, Sprinkles, I love you. Today, we are going to be reviewing the champion Pyros, the Infernal Shaman. So today, apparently, I've picked a couple of lords for us to review. This was not intentional, but now that we're talking about it. So, Pyros is the Lord of the Infernal faction. So the Infernal faction in this game is a very highly aggressive faction in everything they do. One of the newer champions coming out is a healer for them. So, as a Lord, he increases all their base stats by 10%. And when Lord Pyros casts the Destruction command, all faction allies gain a penetration increase for 10 seconds. So the penetration increase causes them to ignore 30% of the defense and the magic resistance of the target that they are targeting with the Destruction command. I will get to the Destruction command. It's the ultimate. We're not there yet. I just want to touch on this, that this is something to keep in the back of your mind. For 10 seconds, which is an enormous amount of time in this game, your champions are going to be basically doing an extra 30% damage if they are part of this Destruction command. His Destruction command only does work on faction allies. I want to stress that. So it's not all of your champions go in on this command. So Pyros, he is a mage. So he deals 100% magic damage to one enemy. He has a passive where increases his attack speed by 50, which is an enormous amount, for 5 seconds, stacking up to 6 times. So this gives him a 300 attack speed increase over, like for 5 seconds. That is so ridiculous. Like 300 attack speed basically will shave a second away from his attack interval. So at 2.6, that will easily take him down closer to like 1.3 because of the way that the scaling works of attack speed. Anything over 100, you start to get diminishing returns. However, the more you have, the faster you attack, so it is worth it. For his attack stat, he does have a respectable attack stat. Defenses and stuff are good, blah, blah, blah. His cost is 18, so very good champion. I'm all over the place with this champion. Next, his passive. He inflicts a vulnerability, the vulnerabilities, on a target marked with Destruction command, and deals 150% additional AoE damage when the mark explodes. So these vulnerabilities start off at 10%, and then as we skill them up, they go up to that 20%. So if you didn't want to use Mary or Aeon, we can be using Pyros if we have a bunch of Infernals on our team. The extra blast damage can also scale up from 150% up to 190%. And again, that is when the mark explodes. This will matter a little bit on timing. So specifically, we'll be mentioning Dragon later in this video. Make sure that his ultimate explodes before the dragon flies away, or before the dragon breathes fire on your entire team. Something of note when we talk about the Destruction command as well. So not only do we have this penetration here where we ignore 30% of the defense and magic resistance, but here he's also causing an increase in damage. So it's a double swing. He's causing your champions to deal an additional 20% to the target, and they're penetrating 30%. So that is a massive swing in damage. Finally, Destruction command. So what is all this hype around? So the rage cost is 600. When activated, increases his damage by 60% for 15 seconds. Then marks one target in range with the highest HP at the moment to make it a prioritized target, while dealing 30% magic damage per second. The mark lasts for 7 seconds and explodes at the end of its duration, dealing 200% AoE damage to nearby enemies. When the hero is deployed as a lord, gains focus fire effect. So we'll talk about the focus fire effect here in a second, but we're gonna do the additives here. So increases his damage by 60%. So if we go down here and look, we have the blast damage increase. So from 60% would be up to 80%. and then another damage increase, so up to 100% total, for 15 seconds, and then marks the target while doing 30% damage per second for 7 seconds. This 7 seconds scales up to 10 seconds in total. That's the mark duration. His initial rage goes up by 80, and the cost of his ultimate goes down by 100. So he would start off with 380 rage, and his ultimate, instead of costing 600, would only cost 500 in total. Then the blast damage increases by 100%. So instead of it being this 200% AoE damage, it would be 300% AoE damage. This is like one of those things, like, it's the most confusing. Just understand it's damage on damage on damage. Just scaling damage nonstop. So, Focus Fire. What does he do with Focus Fire? Faction allies, except for healers, join forces to channel energy to the Lord for a powerful strike, regardless of their locations. The damage of the strike increases based upon the number of participating heroes, up to a cap of 700%. Now, the game doesn't tell me how many champions that is. Like, if every champion that participates increases the damage by, like, 150%. Because if you had him and 4 others, the 4 others would be, like, 600%, and then he would be the last, being 750%, but it's capped off at 700. I'm guessing that's how it works. However, the game does not blatantly tell me. Let's go show off this. Let's talk about the Awakenings first. I'm jumping the gun. We're going to talk about the Awakenings first, and then we'll show off the skill. During Destruction Command, increases crit rate by 20%. So again, damage on damage on damage, now with crit rate. Crit damage increased by 10%. It's a little weird to see that the crit rate is finally outnumbering the crit damage, but that is just the game stressing to you, we want to make sure that Pyros is critting. Ideally, I would say you would eventually want him at 100% crit rate, so this first Awakening might not feel great. However, it is still nice that you could build him with 80% crit rate, and he'll feel great for a very long time until you build him up to the 100%. Enhancements. So Delusion Gaze lasts 5 more seconds if the target is still alive after the end of Destruction Command. So Delusional Gauge is the debuffs that he puts on the target. And then Destruction Command, I don't know why it says it's being enhanced here. Oh, I didn't scroll down enough. Delusional Gaze lasts 5 more Okay, yeah, weird. Weird. It doesn't actually enhance the ultimate. It just lets, if the thing survives the ultimate, it lasts a little bit longer. So that's fantastic. Extra damage, amazing for boss killing, right? Penetration, he gains a 5% penetration increase. So that is quite useful. And then finally his ultimate. Recovers 200 rage when the target dies during Destruction Command's duration. What is kind of bad about this 5th one, this is good if you are killing off targets in a crowded section. And that is the point of this ultimate, is that you can kill off a prime target or something with bigger HP. But understand, you're probably going to be using Pyros the most on bosses. I think that if you were to pull Pyros early, he's going to feel amazing and feel a lot of fun. You will be using champions like Maureen to take most advantage from him. And I love that because that gives you an incentive to play with a rare. However, the Infernals do have some of the smallest numbers of champions in the game, and majority of them are in the epic section. So you would either need epics or legendaries for Pyros to feel amazing. That being said, everybody I've ever talked to about Pyros says that he is top tier. So I'm going to do my best to show off him being good, but I do want to understand, I am not necessarily in the position to show him off at his best. We're going to go ahead and just jump into a level here. That way we get to show off what Pyros is capable of. So again, he only works with our damage dealers. So me bringing Dolores or Autumn, they do not have an effect that would synergize with him. So ergo, we are not going to be bringing those champions along with us. We'll bring a tank just to hold the line. Damage behind him. That way I don't have to worry and cry about things not dying. And then nothing else matters. So we just jump into it. Now, Pyros is in some of the best gear that I have on this account right now. So he should be one-shotting most of these things, or if not one-shotting, he might two-shot them just because he's only at level 40 right now. But that is okay. Nothing should get past Azor. And then none of the other Infernals that I'm about to summon have any gear on them. So Pyros is going to be doing all of our damage until we get this destruction command available. Things are going to get through. That's fine. We don't care. So here we'll use his destruction command. Everybody channels their attack. And then it blows up on the target. As much as I like this as a concept, as we saw, we stopped attacking during that duration, which for me is not a fantastic thing. However, notice that Pyros does already have his ultimate back up. So this is something that you do get to spam quite reliably. And even our Titus gets to join in on the attack, which feels amazing. But because of the downtime of the attack, this is something that I don't like about Pyros. However, I want to stress that none of my other Infernals here are geared up properly. So we're probably just not having the best showcase because they are not geared up. And specifically, this type of attack is going to be best in like your dragon comp or a boss killing comp. I'm sure that if I had a champion like Setram or Twin Fiend that are already going to be doing enormous amounts of damage, them doing enormous amounts of damage and then them slowing down for a moment to do this giant big bang attack and then getting the vulnerabilities, then getting the armor, the defense and magic resistance penetration. I think it's one of those things that's why there's so much damage on damage here, is that it just all piles together. So with that being said, where is Pyros going to be best at? Pyros is kind of unique. He is a good standalone mage. He will do just fine on his own. Him having an attack speed steroid in his own kit and having some base AoE splash from him using his own ultimate makes him valuable. Then for every Infernal that you add is going to make him feel more amazing. So for that reason, anywhere that you need a mage. In the campaign, he's going to kill things off, and that attack speed increase that he gives himself is absolutely phenomenal. He's going to be this crazy old man tossing out fire everywhere he goes. In your arena, for like things like your single target arena, I absolutely see this destruction command being hilariously overpowered. However, I have not seen a team come in and wreck me with just a full team of Infernals. I'm still waiting for it. Just might have not happened yet. In the Void Rift, there are plenty of bosses who have a lot of HP, so I think that this is going to be one of the better places for him. Again, as a mage, he's just going to do more damage in general. His kit is a very well designed of like, I'm a single target champion that consequently does AoE with things like his ultimate, so he's going to feel good when things get bunched up anyways. For the arenas, by the way, would I bring him to the AoE arena? Not really. Unless he's killing things very, very quickly. That would be the only way I could justify you bringing him in there. For airborne, absolutely not. They're, more resistant to magic, so I don't think he would provide enough damage for it. If he's your like first or second epic, yes, by all means, bring him in there. Or let's say he's the first 6-star on your account, yes, bring him in anyways. And then the sustained DPS, I could see him being decent there, and especially with all the penetration that he provides, could have very good usage there. Marksman, typically, no, I would encourage you not to bring him here unless it's for EXP. For mages, absolutely bring him. I would absolutely see him dominating the bottom lane if you put him in there. He would probably be fine in the upper lane as well because there's constant enemies. He could probably keep his attack speed buff up consistently. I would just be worried about him killing things off quickly enough. In things like the endurance and melee raid, as long as he has a platform to stand on, I can see him being very good in both of these. For melee, as you lose the platform, obviously less of a reason to bring him. For things like Guild Boss and the Artifacts Material Raid, I think he could be amazing here as a damage dealer. And then if you have other Infernals that are on platforms, again in the Material Raid, we lose platforms. But I have heard amazing things about him in Guild Boss, that he does good damage to Guild Boss just by himself. So if you are able to pull any other of the Infernals, like a legendary champion, or if you have champions like Azoth. Azoth is a very good single target damage dealer. You could pair them together to do some crazy amounts of damage to the guild boss, or provide your other Infernal champions extra damage. Marine also has a defensive down in her kit. So if you were playing with her and with like Azoth, if you had things like Azoth and Pyros early in the game, you could absolutely be putting out some massive infernal damage very early. In Tide, I think that there's an argument for Tide that he would be great for killing some of the bosses. However, if he was to ult too early and just kill some of the smaller mobs, or I could see his ultimate missing some of the smaller mobs, there is also the potential that when you kill that small mob, if the AoE explosion happens, you would kill off everything in that area. So I could see him being decent in Tide. The huge thing about Tide specifically is that with his attack speed steroid, I could see his uptime being very, very high during that whole time. Resource Raid, we just saw him do okay. He is a single target champion, so when it comes to the EXP, I don't think that this would be the best place for him. And then specifically his ultimate would only be good when there's only one enemy left most of the time. Use it with caution. The gold raid has typically higher HP values, so he might be great for there. Your gear raids, anytime you're going to kill the boss, again, absolutely amazing. Gear raids 1 and 2 do have a lot of things that are weak to magic damage, so I think he's going to be amazing in these two gear raids. Gear raid 3 is all flying enemies, so I would not bring him to gear raid 3. Also, for gear raid 1, his ability to ignore all the small minions and to target the queen specifically could have him be very, very good at nuking the queen and then just AoE damaging everything else with that big old attack. However, I don't know if I would bring in all the other Infernals. It seems like a fun strategy if you get the Infernals, but because this is a gacha and everything's random, take your pick. Or if you love the Infernals, and let's say that was the faction you just fell in love with right away, and you build up all those champions, getting him could absolutely round out some of their weaknesses. In the faction trials, he is a mage, so bringing him to the basic trials would be a very smart thing to do. I admittedly probably need to start focusing on bringing more of my mages in here to make the clear time on it faster. In the Infernals, it's hilarious. The Infernal faction, I don't want to spoil anything, but you can put Pyros in a very unique position, or you could put him in a very different position. And once you play the level, you will understand. But you could either put him in a position where he's off by himself, and then you would have all your other allies targeting that same thing, or you could do the exact opposite and have him holding the main line because he was attacking so quickly, And then when you have big bulky boys coming down the line, you could use the ultimates to try to pick off the big bulky boys. Or if you were afraid that you could kill the first one, but maybe not the second one, you could then use the ultimate for that, which would be a hilarious use for the ultimate. However, I think if the big bulky boys kept walking, I'm pretty sure that once you target him, your champions are going to target. I don't think the enemy could walk out of your vision and then you'd be like, missed the timing on my ultimate. I would have to test it out, though, to see if it works that way. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is all I have for Pyros. He is this really cool, kooky, crazy design. Exactly what I want to see out of Infernals. I want to see this, crazed look on faces. I like that he's a decrepit old man mage. That is something that, for my nostalgia, for me growing up, I love the concept of wizened old mages or crazy old mages being super powerful, rather than like your anime, like I'm a 14-year-old with ridiculous, amazing magical power. I absolutely love the old man motif. I think it's something that we are getting away from, and I'm sad about that. His kit is super interesting, very well-balanced design to it. It is crazy how much damage he adds to the party. So I absolutely love what he provides, what he brings to the table. That being said, use him wisely, have fun with him, kill everything, and have a great time. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you today. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It helps me out a lot. If you want to join us over at twitch.tv/sprinklebeard, I stream every day, Sunday through Wednesday, as long as I'm not oversleeping from my work, because I tend to work the other days, and I work 12-hour shifts, so I oversleep constantly. I'm getting too old too fast. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, until that next time, ta-ta.